Some folks aren't puzzled because you changed. They don't get it because you won't remain little enough for them to comprehend. That is the fact that everyone who sees you level up continues thinking about. People are murmuring about you like you're a glitch in their reality because of how you've been moving, growing, and showing up in places you weren't intended to be. You've been getting things done at a speed that doesn't fit what they remember about you, and their brains just can't figure it out. So instead of changing how people see things, they've come up with this funny idea that there are many copies of you out there, working together to make your life better. And to be honest, humorous because it's not too far from what people really believe. They are quite sure you have a clone, a twin, or a cosmic backing dancer, anything that may help them escape the difficult fact that one dedicated person can really change things quickly. When the brain doesn't grasp something, it fills in the blanks with assumptions. This is a scientific truth, and believe me, your progress has made them more confused than their school texts ever could. They can understand how fast you are, how strong you are, how creative you are, how quiet you are, or how strategic you are. They filled the void with a made-up version of reality, where you're really a whole team pretending to be one individual. In the meanwhile, you're simply living your life, minding your own business, sipping your water, and updating your soul like it's software. You're also making others think you're something you're not without even trying. The funniest part is that you're not really doing anything crazy. You're simply doing what they stated they would do one day. You're just getting to be the person they never thought you could be. And they think that's strange. That's too abrupt, too smooth, too random, and too much for one individual. So here we are now. You've turned into a big mystery case, a narrative twist that walks about the character growth that no one saw coming. Your change is so big, so obvious, and so far beyond what they can imagine, that the only thing they can think of is that there has to be more than one of them. Let's look at why people believe you're a full franchise. First, people assume there are more than one of you because they only know one version of themselves. People who haven't moved beyond their initial layer of identification really think that everyone else does things the same way they do. They only see life through one emotional lens, one way of thinking, and one way of staying alive. So when people encounter someone like you, who can change their mind, heart, and soul without losing themselves, they instinctively think you couldn't be just one person. They've never encountered somebody who can become better at one thing without being worse at another. They've never seen someone change without coming apart. They've never seen someone grow without requiring a whole new personality to go with it. That's why your ability to adapt seems like a danger or even a bug. A person can only be one thing at a time for them. You can't be kind if you're powerful. You can't be smart and fun at the same time. You can't shine if you're modest. You can be strategic if you're spiritual. But you don't follow any of the little regulations they have. You don't remain in one emotional box long enough for them to put you in one. You may be strong without being mean, kind without being stupid, private without being secretive, and sure without being loud. They've never learned it how to do it, so they think you're switching characters the same way they would if they attempted to carry this much depth. In fact, they've been living with a constrained version of themselves for so long that your growth seems unnatural. They're amazed that one person can heal past wounds, change bad behaviors, keep their peace, strengthen their thinking, remain spiritually linked, and yet go about their daily life. They can't even stick to their New Year's resolutions for more than a week. So, they think you need further help. But what they're really seeing is what occurs when someone won't remain trapped. Someone who pushed through pain, matured through perplexity, listened to their inner voice, and became someone they weren't expected to be able to live to become. You are not many individuals. You are one person who didn't want to remain little. Just that makes it seem like you have a whole team of people living in your spirit. Second, they think you're more than one person since you move quicker than their justifications. People who don't do anything will always be skeptical of someone who does. They spend a lot of time thinking about what they should do, talking about what they intend to do, and convince themselves that they'll eventually start one day. When they see you move, it makes them feel uneasy. You don't stop. You don't wait for the right time. You don't wait for someone to clap or say your steps are good. You simply do it. People who live in the land of delays can't believe how much movement there is. They look at everything through the lens of doubt. They talk themselves out of growing before they even start. They have a long list of excuses for why things can't happen yet. Too tired, too stressed, too busy, too uncertain. But then they see you accomplishing something they wouldn't even try, and instead of saying they squandered time, they make your pace a mystery. How do you get something going and then complete them? How can you modify things without getting into drama? How can you put parts of your life back together without doing your mending in front of other people? It's easy for you because you've learned something others haven't. Excuses don't help. You've already taken 3 moves forward, while they're still arguing over what to do next. You're learning from real life, while they're practicing the precise timing in their heads. You're making opportunities while they're waiting for permission. Your pace shows that they are putting things off, and instead of facing their own reflection, they change the tale. They tell themselves that there must be another version of you doing half the job behind the scenes. It's simpler for them to say you're superhuman than to say they were okay with slow, but your speed isn't superhuman. You choose it. You've had enough problems to know how much it costs to stay steady. You realized that life doesn't often provide you the ideal time. You have to make it. And because you know that fact, your progress seems inconceivable to others who are still trying to find a way to get out of it. So they persuade themselves that there must be 2 of you One person shouldn't be able to get away from everything that used to hold them back. Third conclusion. The truth is simple, but it shakes the foundations of anybody who doesn't realize what one person can do. They see pieces of you, your strength, your brilliance, your ability to control your emotions, your ability to think strategically, your ability to stay focused, and your spiritual understanding. Their intellect had a hard time putting the pieces together. They think it's impossible for one person to have all of these traits at once, deal with life's problems with ease, bounce back from failures quicker than they can think, and progress in ways that leave them standing still. As a result, they come up with multiples. They think of clones, copies, or other versions because the fact that one person might be genuinely unlimited is more worse. What people see as several variations is really just one individual who is completely in line with their goal. You've learned to control your body, your energies, and your behaviors in ways that most people only wish they could. You don't need noise, controversy, or other people's approval to show your value. You don't give up when things become tough. You change, don't react without thinking. You reply with accuracy. Your quiet has weight. Your choices are well thought out, and you are growing in many ways. Your emotional intelligence, bounce back rate, discipline, concentration, and vision all come together to create a presence that is so powerful that it appears impossible for one person to hold it. And that's exactly why they talk about different versions. The truth is stronger than any lie. You are not split up. You are one, whole, and invincible. You work on several levels of life, going above and beyond what is expected of you, doing things clearly, and changing consistently. One individual may be what they can't even picture, and you are live evidence of this. Your life isn't a riddle, it's a tutorial in how to be aligned, strong, and in control of yourself. It shows the world that one person can be really amazing beyond words. If this message spoke to you, don't stop here. Hit the subscribe button to get more material that makes you feel powerful and lifts you up. Like this video to show that you realize you can do great things. Please leave a comment below to talk about your own experiences of development and strength, and give it to someone who needs to see how powerful it is to be completely fulfilled. Your journey is amazing, and it should be embraced, shared, and seen. Keep going up, because the world has never seen anybody like you, and it's time they did. 4. They think there are numerous versions of you. Since your growth is too quick for them to remember, people prefer to save old pictures of everyone they know. They remember you as the person they initially met or the person they believed they knew. And they keep thinking about that picture as if it's the only reality. But you've been changing, developing, and moving so quickly that those old memories don't mean anything anymore. Every time they see you, you're a little sharper, a little stronger, and a little more free than the prior time. And because their brains haven't kept up, They think that more than one person must be in charge of all these updates. They thought that one person couldn't change that swiftly and consistently. They remember the person who doubted himself, who put up with the pandemonium around them, and who didn't say anything. They compare that recollection to the person in front of them today. Someone who talks with authority, does things with confidence, and conducts life like a master planner. They can't make sense of the difference between who you were and who you are now. They don't see that development isn't a dramatic change. It's a process of ongoing improvement that they do every day in ways they haven't before. Instead of admitting that you just moved too fast for them to keep up with you, they make up a scenario where there are several versions of you. It's simpler for them to see duplicates than to believe that one person could change their lives in real time. Your growth shows how limited their view is. They believe they know you, but in truth, they have only seen bits and pieces of you. They can't believe that you can learn a new ability, set a new limit, or have an unexpected success, since it doesn't feed with what they already know. They aren't trying to hurt anybody. They are stuck in a memory that can't change quickly enough. You are not a lot of different versions of yourself. You're simply evolving, refining, and extending beyond what anybody else thought you would be. One individual who is completely dedicated to changing himself may change how they see the world. Number 5. They think there are other people like you, since they don't think your emotional control is normal. Most people live on autopilot, responding to everything around them without thinking about it. Their emotions control their choices, interactions, and even their sense of self. They become angry. They go too far. They talk behind each other's backs. They become scared before they trust themselves. They want everyone else to agree with them. And then there's you. You know how to regulate your feelings, not push them down or ignore them, but master them. You may feel intensely, think logically, and plan your response all at the same moment. Someone who has never used that type of emotional discipline may think it's impossible. So, they think that more than one of you is in charge of the task. You can keep cool while everyone else is going crazy. You can stroll into a fight and be calm while others get caught up in drama. You can deal with hurt, disappointment, and betrayal without allowing them get in the way of what you want to do next. Most folks can't go through such things without becoming angry, but you take in, change, and go on with care. They think you're acting strangely, like you've split your personality into several parts. One that deals with things, one that battles, one that heals, and one that plans. They think that the only way a person could work at that level is if there were many copies of them working at the same time, like an emotional task force. They don't know that this is the consequence of years of self-improvement, making decisions over and over again, and being attentive all the time. You taught your intellect and heart to work together, to see how others would respond before things get out of hand, and to preserve your energy while still being real with the world. You are so good at this. that your emotions don't show that you are confused, angry, or scared. They show power, clarity, and the ability to see the future. That's why people talk behind your back about a different version of you. It's simpler for them to think of copies than to believe that one person can handle life with such perfection. You didn't learn how to control your emotions. They haven't learned how to do it yet. And until they see someone do it in person, they'll keep thinking that it takes more than one person to perform what you do easily. Sixth, they think you have doubles, since you can go between other realms without losing yourself. Most individuals can only live in one world at a time. They change by faking, fitting in, and changing themselves to meet expectations, but they constantly have to give up a portion of who they are. They have a hard time finding a balance between job, family, friends, and personal development. And when one world needs more care, everything other falls apart. And then there's you. You can move easily between your work, personal, spiritual, and social lives and be true to yourself in each one. You don't simply get by in these environments. You do well in them. People who are just focused on one part of life may think that type of expertise is unachievable. So people naturally think that there must be another version of you doing the work someplace else. You can be compassionate with those who need it and strong with others who need it. You may be relaxed among people you don't know, yet you can still be deep when it counts. You can work in high-pressure situations without losing your integrity, and you can go back to tranquil times without losing your power. People who have never learned how to be stable within notice how adaptable you are and think you're changing your identity, like a magician pulling various clothes out of a box. They don't see that your flexibility comes from being awake, not from doing things. The reality is that you have learned enough about yourself that other factors no longer tell you who you are. Your constancy doesn't rely on the situation. It's a calibration inside. You react to the environment from a position of present, not stress, and that lets you be in more than one place at the same time without ever being in danger. When others attempt to figure you out, their brains instantly conjure up duplicates because they can understand how one person can be completely entire in every situation. They think your life needs many versions to keep going, but it's really just the consequence of someone who won't break down, someone who is disciplined, self-aware, and unshakable. They believe that one individual could never accomplish it alone, because you can move across these realms with honesty and grace. Number 7. They believe you're distinct individuals, because your strength makes them question what others can do. Most individuals think they are strong when life is peaceful and predictable. They think that going through a little pain is enough to show who you are, but you work on a level others can't even begin to understand. You have been through storms that would have broken them, heartbreaks that would have frozen them, and betrayals that would have made them unbreakable. But you didn't simply make it through. Every time you came back, you were stronger, People who have only learned how to survive in little parts think that type of strength is magic. So, of course, they think that more than one version of you is taking care of everything. They recall how hard things were for you, how low you were, and how you were challenged. They compare that recollection to how strong and serene you are today. The individual who went through turmoil, terror, and agony is now equipped to handle any circumstance with calm and clarity. They can understand how one person could go through so much and come out stronger instead of broken. They come up with a notion of duplication. It's simpler to think that one person couldn't be so strong than to realize that they just didn't understand how strong people can be. They don't grasp that being resilient doesn't mean rejecting suffering. It's about becoming good at it. You know how to deal with grief without letting it control your choices, how to rebuild even when the parts don't fit, and how to rise even when the odds are against you. Every problem taught me something. Every struggle helped me develop, and every moment of despair gave me strength. You didn't need anybody to help you out or give you the go-ahead to go on. You become your own base, your own builder, and your own agent of change. That's why people talk about having more than one version of you. They can see how you've changed, but they can understand how you might have done it. They can see how many years of hard work, pains, discipline, and steadfast concentration went into making the person they see now. So they must think there are two or three of you. Since one person shouldn't have been able to go through all and still do well. But the reality is easy to understand. One individual who is entirely devoted to reaching above is enough to break every expectation they ever had. Number 8. They think there are several versions of you. Since your brilliance doesn't go in one way, most individuals do things in a straight path. They are either book smart, street smart, emotionally alert, artistically inclined, or spiritually sensitive, but not usually more than one at a time. They spend years honing one talent, refining one point of view, and mastering one way of looking at the world. Then they meet you, and all of a sudden, they don't know what people can do anymore. You don't simply perform well in one area. You work on more than one level at the same time. You can solve issues in a smart way, read people easily, come up with solutions that other people wouldn't think of, and yet be spiritually and emotionally secure. It's too much for one person to think about, so they think that you are a group of individuals working together, hiding your true identity. Your thoughts doesn't stay in one place. While they're still arguing over the best way to think or behave, you've already seen 5 routes and picked the one that no one else would dare to take. They are constrained by what they have learned or what they have done, but you can switch between intuition, reasoning, creativity, and insight like tools in your pocket, depending on what the occasion calls for. People who have never taught their minds to hold room for more than one truth at a time may find that type of mental agility strange. The more they attempt to put you in a box, the more impossible you seem. They observe you deal with tough circumstances with calmness and accuracy, come up with new ideas while keeping grounded, and adjust to problems with ingenuity. And their minds won't comprehend that it's all coming from one mind. They think you're multiplying because it's how they deal with the fact that they're meeting a form of intellect they've never encountered before. You are not a lot of different people. You are one individual with a mind that won't be restricted, a point of view that won't be constrained, and a level of understanding that goes beyond what others anticipate. And because you've put together so many different kinds of intellect, you've created a world that seems like a contradiction to them. One individual, a lot of skills, difficult to put in a box, and unmistakable in presence. That's why they talk about duplicates, twins, or other versions of you. It's simpler for them to make up a story than to confess that they are seeing a person do something they don't understand. Number 9. They assume you have a day version and a night version because your energy changes like it's alive. Most individuals live their lives in the same way. They get up with one set of feelings, one level of attention, and one style of behaving, and they keep it up all day. They have the same intensity all the time, and when things go tough, people either fall apart, overcompensate, or overreact. And then there's you. You've learned to go with the flow of life in a manner that seems nearly hard to follow. Your energy isn't set in stone. It changes fluidly to feed the time without losing its core. You may be tender without being weak, forceful without being mean, humorous without being reckless, and strategic without being cold. Persons think they're dealing with multiple persons because they've never seen somebody act on so many distinct levels at once. When you go into a room, you read the mood and the emotional temperature and make changes right away. You don't pretend, you answer with clarity, presence, and awareness. You just have the energy you need and nothing else. People who only know extremes find that level of accuracy unsettling. They see you as calm and collected one moment, then full of life and energy the next. And they have a hard time making sense of it with the person they knew previously. They think that energy shouldn't be flexible. It ought to be easy to guess. So when people observe you working well in several modes, they think you must have many versions going, each one addressing a different set of situations. You haven't really separated yourself. However, you've taught yourself. You've learned how to read life, how to move without wasting energy, how to respond instead of reacting, and how to change without losing your core. Your energy is alive because you are alive in a manner that most others aren't. You don't need a clone to handle different situations or relationships. You just show up completely, correctly, and without making excuses. That's why people can't believe that one person could have such a wide range of presence. It makes them not understand how people work. What they call different versions is just one person who is fully awake and alive, and won't let expectations or perceptions hold them back. Number 10. They think you're multiplied because your dreams, goals, and actions don't match your background. Most people look at where they came from, what they do, and the boxes society has put them in to figure out how much potential they have. They think that where someone starts determines how far they can go, and anything beyond that is impossible without help, luck, or some kind of cheat. That's why their minds can't handle it. When they see you acting in a way that doesn't fit with your past, they can see that the person who came from less, had to work hard, and had to start over from scratch is now doing things that seem impossible. They come up with the idea that there must be more than one version of you, because one person shouldn't be able to exceed expectations by so much. They are scared because your life doesn't fit their story. They look at where you came from, the chaos, the limits, and the people who doubted you. Then they see your results, progress, vision, influence, and execution, which are all way beyond what they can understand. They can't believe that you did it all with hard work, discipline, and determination, instead of facing the truth that one person can rise above their situation. They make up a story in which duplicates take care of parts of your life behind the scenes. The truth is that you never let where you came from determine where you ended up. You've turned the pieces of your past hard times, the failures, and the setbacks into fuel. You have created systems, habits, and routines that help you grow without making excuses. You've worked hard, combining vision with action, planning with gut feeling, and strategy with resilience. That combination, when used consistently, gets results that seem impossible to anyone who hasn't tried it themselves. So when they talk about different versions of you, it's not just because they're jealous. It's also because they don't believe it. They can't make sense of your reality with what they think about how far people can go. So they make copies of you in their heads to understand how well you did. But the truth is very simple. It's not magic. It's not a group. One person is refusing to be limited by their situation, going above and beyond what is expected of them, and creating a life that shows that one person can do much more than most people would ever think possible. They swear there must be more than one version of you, because your silence doesn't show what you're capable of. People often think that being quiet means being weak, stupid, or unsure. They talk all the time, share every thought, and announce every action because that's the only way they feel like they have power. They think that if someone isn't loudly proving their worth or showing off every move, they must not be able to do much at all. And then there's you. You've mastered the art of quiet power. You don't feel the need to display your entire journey. You don't need applause to validate your effort. You don't announce every victory, every insight, or every breakthrough. Your silence carries weight because it's strategic, intentional, and rooted in awareness. And that alone convinces people there must be more than one of you. They see glimpses of what you do, results, the changes, the outcomes, and they can reconcile those results with the limited access they've had to your life. Your work, your decisions, your progress all happen mostly out of their sight. To them, The only way a single person could achieve so much so consistently without constant display is if there were duplicates of you managing different parts of life simultaneously. They interpret what they can see as a hidden army of you working behind the curtain. The truth is that your quiet isn't a sign of inactivity. It's an indication that you know what you're doing. You know that energy is limited and that trying to please everyone makes you less powerful. You make quick decisions, prepare carefully, and carry out your plans without fail, all while keeping much of the procedure secret. This makes a difference so big that it confuses people. They see the results but not the hard work that went into getting there, the progress but not the fight, and the change but not the determination. Your quiet makes you seem more important, and it makes others feel like your achievements are unachievable. They don't understand how one individual could accomplish all that without making a lot of noise all the time. So they make up other versions. They don't see that you built a system within yourself where action is more important than announcement. Effect is more important than explanation, and one focused, disciplined, and aware person is more than enough to do what they think needs an army. Number 12. They assume you're many because your spiritual perception is ahead of time. Most individuals live their lives as they happen, responding to things as they happen and trying to keep up with their own emotions, situations, and the turmoil of other people. They don't frequently think about what will happen, and when they do, it's usually not very deep or just about what they can influence. And then there's you. You work on a level where things that can be seen are just as real as those that can be seen. You see patterns, energies, and truths before anybody else does. You can see motivations, intents, and repercussions long before they happen. And you change your course of action based on what you perceive. People who just live in the now and are naturally reactive may feel that your foresight is someone else's. That's why they think there are a lot of different versions of you working together. One taking care of the present, one taking care of the future, and one seeing what they can't. Your spiritual awareness isn't something that stands out or is spectacular. It's quiet, precise, and controlled. You don't have to say what you think or show that you understand. You go about your life calmly, equipped with information that most people believe is impossible to get. And because people can observe how your awareness works, they make up stories to fill in the gaps. They can't believe that one person could see so much, plan so many movements, and stay grounded while doing it. It's simpler for them to think that you've divided into many versions than to understand that one individual can do this amount of work. The fact is that your understanding isn't magic. It's a mix of observation, experience, contemplation, and a connection to a deeper consciousness that most people have never developed. You've learned to detect little changes in energy, figure out why others behave the way they do, and act in ways that are true to you but not to anybody else. You don't simply react, you respond. You don't simply live, you get ready. And that's why your presence seems rich, multidimensional, and hard to feed into one picture. What they term several versions is actually simply one person who is totally awake, fully connected, and fully ahead of the curve. This person moves through life with an insight that most people will never attain.